All right, welcome guys. Thank you for coming out and checking out the NBA stream today. We only got 4 games to talk about. Obviously, we got NCAA basketball going on as well, so I appreciate everyone coming to check it out. Let's take a look at what we know so far. So let me scroll back to the beginning of the day. Again, we'll go over some Golden State news. Once again, Steve Kerr, the biggest troll in the world, is trolling us again. But yeah, we'll talk about that in a sec. All right, so let's go over what we know. Some of the stuff is for Sunday. Let's see. Kevon Looney ruled out. Actually, pretty significant news. Going to talk about that in a sec. Any other important info here? DeJounte Murray out. Patty Mills out as well. Does make those Spurs a lot more appealing. Obviously, though, the blowout risk probably increases a bit. Let's see. Yeah, the LeBron James news. I don't know if any of you guys followed my best ball stream when I drafted the $555 best ball stream, but I was in great shape in second place, was going to go up to first today, had LeBron James, and now he's out, and it's probably going to kill my chances of advancing. So not fun when you get bad injury luck, especially with best ball, but yeah, that's the way it goes. Ben Simmons available to play, that's what we expected. Steph Curry out again. Alen Smailagic is starting for Kevon Looney. He's min price. Yeah, he's a viable punt play. Or Golden State. Memphis is a bigger team, so they might need him to play about 20-ish minutes. They also have Toscano Anderson, I guess they can use off the bench. Draymond might have to play a little bit more of the small ball 5. Jordan Poole once again starting for Steph. Halliburton still on a minutes limit, even though he played 34 minutes. So literally just okay, Luke Walton. That literally makes no sense. All right, let's talk about these Vegas odds. So Golden State and Memphis is 219 over under. The Grizzlies are 6.5-point favorites. Kings and 76ers are 230 over under. The 76ers are 6.5-point favorites. Spurs and Bucks at 229 over under. 11-point favorites. The Bucks are definitely some blowout risk here. And same thing with the Hornets and the Clippers. 9.5-point spread. Got to factor that in. 231.5 over under. Michigan going down to LSU. I hope not. They didn't look great today. Yeah, they didn't look great. Okay, so let's talk about Sacramento and Philly. First, on the Sacramento side, I think there's no priorities here for a cash game format, but De'Aaron Fox is a contrarian play at this price. I think it's viable because of the minutes, because of the fact they can stuff the stat sheet, and I think, again, he will be low owned. So don't mind De'Aaron Fox taking contrarian. I don't mind Rashawn Holmes either, because he should play about 30 to 35 minutes, a great point per minute guy, a guy who can stuff the stat sheet. So those two at the top to get different, I think, are viable. Hield and Barnes, I'll pass on. Halliburton at 5'7", should play around 30 to 35 minutes. A guy that, because the price, I think, is in play. So, yeah, I have a little bit of interest there in Halliburton. Other than that, though, not much I am liking. I guess you could take a shot on Whiteside, but I would have wished he was a little bit cheaper. Again, he's a good point per minute guy. On the Philadelphia side, a little bit more to like for a cash game setting, where Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris at the top. I think both look pretty good. Ben Simmons at 9-1 should play around 40 minutes, a guy that's triple-double upside and a fantastic matchup. And then Tobias Harris as well. So both the guys at the top look good. I would say Simmons is a little bit safer because he does more of the peripherals. Tobias Harris a little riskier, but I do like both. And the Dwight Howard is even in play because the minutes for him the last couple games, 28 and 30 off the bench, has double-double upside, and this is a great spot. So the top 3 guys there look pretty decent. With Steph Curry out, I think Shake Milton does get a little bit of a boost here, 5.2. We'll see what they end up doing with the starting lineup. I think he could play mid to high 20s minutes. I think he had a good matchup. You guys know my feelings on Danny Green at 4.7. The minutes will be there, but he's super reliant on the scoring. I do not like playing him. Korkmaz also reliant on scoring, feels a little pricey. I'll probably pass on Bradley with his minutes trending the wrong way. Viable, Maxey, if you want to get very contrarian for value, but I just don't know if we have to go there on this slate. I think there's probably better value place to look to. All right, let's move on to Golden State and Memphis. Really quick, though. Well, let's see where we're at. We're 150 viewers and 22 likes. Can we reach 100 likes before the end of the show? That'd be greatly appreciated. So if you guys do enjoy these streams, if you can hit that like button. Again, it helps me out a lot. It really, really does. So, okay, let's talk about Golden State and Memphis. This is a game that I think looks very appealing on both sides, honestly. So let's start off with the Golden State side. So no Steph Curry. Draymond Green is one of my favorite plays at 7-4. He had 2 real-life points. 2 real-life points. The game blew out, and he still had 40 fantasy points. A guy that is going to play a lot at the point guard. He had 13 assists. I really like Draymond. I think he is safer than Andrew Wiggins. Now, Andrew Wiggins, you You probably saw my rant. You know, when I play him with everyone out, he busts. He's just a guy that even when there are injuries, there are times where he will still kind of stand in the corner and shoot threes. Unfortunately for me, he actually hit his shots and had 40 real-life points. Now, what is that going to do for this slate? Well, Andrew Wiggins is probably going to be the absolute chalk. And I think he's actually a solid play. I do, because he'll play mid-30s minutes with no Steph Curry. He should have to do a lot more. I'm just saying he should, because there's still times where he will defer offensively. But, yeah, Wiggins, even though I very much dislike him, I think he's a good play on the slate. Oubre, I would say, is a lot riskier. Talked about this in the YouTube video, but he just goes on stretches, right? He goes on stretches where he's actually a good player, and he goes on stretches where he's one of the worst players in the league. And he's right now in one of the stretches where he's one of the worst players in the league because, I don't know, he just goes on hot and cold streaks. So Oubre, I would say, is a lot riskier. If you want to get off the chalk Wiggins, you can take a shot at Oubre, but I would say, again, very risky with the way he's playing right now. Jordan Poole is going to start at the point guard again. My concern is he shot 10 of 15 last game. So, yes, he's technically starting at the point guard, but it's really Draymond that's going to bring the ball up more. So, he's more of a shooting guard that's not going to do a ton of peripheral stats. I like him, but there's some risk here. So, be careful of Poole. Like, what happens when the game where he doesn't shoot well, right? I think that's when he really busts. Mannion lost minutes to Wanamaker last game. You literally can't trust anyone on the bench for Golden State. I'm guessing Toscano Anderson will have to play a little bit more here, but again, they're starting Samaljic, who is the flat min price. Memphis is a big team. He probably plays 15 to 20 minutes, which makes him in play at that price at the flat min. Last guy I mentioned is Damian Lee because he played the most off the bench. Played 28 minutes. He shot the ball well. I'm thinking we get around 20-ish minutes, maybe a little bit more, which at this price point does make him viable. I'm moving on to Memphis. So at the top, Jonas Valanciunas and John Morant. I really like today, and I think they both go a little bit overlooked. Now, JV, the downside is the minutes, right? 24, 25 minutes last couple games. That is not great to see. But he is a phenomenal point-per-minute guy, and he should just be able to have his way with Samaljic or Juan Toscano Anderson or whoever Golden State tries to throw on him. He should be able to feast. So I actually really like Jonas Valanciunas for tournaments. So the reason I don't think he's a cash game play is the price point, plus the fact that he's just not playing huge minutes right now. John Morant at 7.2K. Kind of been struggling recently, right? Last 5 games, 35, 35, 25, 26, 18 fantasy points. I think this is a nice buy low opportunity on John Morant. I do like him at this price, and I think he will go overlooked. Brooks, Clark, Slow-Mo, D'Anthony Melton, there's just, again, with the secondary plays here for Memphis, there's too many guys that are playing and not enough minutes, right? So they're really spreading out the minutes on, like, they just run a deep rotation. The one guy I think is viable is Grayson Allen because of the price, right? He's cheap, he's below 4K, and he's played 25 and 24 minutes the last couple games. So if I'm going to take a shot on one value Memphis player, it's going to be Grayson Allen. What's up, DK? Thumbs up to your video. What do you think, Biyombo versus Eubanks? Yeah, I think Biyombo is safer. Assuming he starts. He's been chalk a few times and is busted. All right, let's move on to San Antonio and Milwaukee. So on the San Antonio side, we're missing DeJounte Murray, obviously no Aldridge, and no Patty Mills. So we'll start with DeRozan at the top. He should be the number one player in the offense. We had the 2020 game from Keldon just out of nowhere. So we're most likely not going to get that again. So DeMar DeRozan, I think, is a good spend up. The concern is the blowout, right? 11-point spread here. That's you got to have that in the back of your mind if you're targeting San Antonio or even Milwaukee players, right? There is a chance this game does not stay competitive. Jakob Poeltl at 6'3", I think is actually a pretty decent play. Should play over 30 minutes. He played 26 minutes because of foul trouble the last game, so I'm guessing we'll get around 30. I think he's a decent, again, he's been solid point per minute guy, so have some interest there. Derek White will probably run more of the point guard here with no DeJounte Murray. I think he is a guy that has upside. Again, should play more of the point. So do kind of like Derek White at that price. Keldon Johnson, we know, at the 2020 game. That's going to very much boost his ownership. I never know what to make of him, right? I've talked about this all year long. He'll have games where he will crush and go. He's had like multiple 40 fantasy point games this season, but there's also times where he just doesn't do much. So another one, kind of like Andrew Wiggins, the ownership's going to be way up after the last game. I don't think he's a bad play, but we're not going to get a 2020 game again from Keldon Johnson. Rudy Gay seems a little bit pricey. I mean, maybe he plays more. Maybe he pushes for 20-ish minutes, 25. Lonnie Walker got a DNP the last game. That was kind of surprising after being a part of this rotation. I'm guessing he plays in this one and probably get around 25 minutes. Eubanks, again, someone mentioned Eubanks at 3.6. I don't know, 15-ish minutes in a close game. We'll play a little bit more if the game blows out. So if you're playing for the blowout, maybe you can take a shot on a guy like Eubanks. Last guy I'll mention here is Devin Vassell. I'm thinking we get around 20 minutes from him. I mean, you just never know because it's Popovich, but they're thinner, right, with no Murray, no Patty Mills. So I'm thinking this is a game where Vassell plays over 20, and at a close to min price is in play for value. All right, on the Milwaukee side, so Giannis Antetokounmpo. If you think the Spurs can keep this game close, I think he's the top spin up of the slate. Just has massive upside, great matchup. Again, the concern here is just, do you think, can the Spurs keep it close? And I'm not sure, right? It's about a 50-50 chance I would say this game blows out. With the secondary pieces, Drew Holiday is going to go overlooked in the slate. But in a close game, he should play mid-30s minutes. He played 41 the last game in overtime, so 36 in regulation. I do like Drew. I think he's a little bit underpriced. Again, the same thing I'll say about Giannis, though, is the blowout factor. DiVincenzo's also been phenomenal. 34, 31, and 45 fantasy points. For me, I would rather get to Drew over DiVincenzo. Not saying he's out of play. Bobby Portis is an interesting play here because the minutes are trending down. But if this game blows out, you could see 20-plus minutes from Bobby Portis, right? And we know he's actually a pretty good point per guy. So I'm intrigued by Bobby Portis. If you think this game does not stay competitive, I think you're going to want to look to Bobby Portis at low ownership. And then PJ Tucker is available to play. That might eat into some minutes for, a guy like a Brolo. So I'm probably not going to get to Tucker, though, at that price. Moving on to the final game here, Charlotte and the Clippers. Charlotte Hornets and the LA Clippers. LaMelo Ball at the top, I do kind of like for tournaments. He played 33 minutes the last game. The minutes are not secure for him right now, but he's a really good point per guy, and a guy that does have triple-double upside. So, and the Clippers are a team I'm very high on the slate. If you want to bring back, it's LaMelo Ball for me. Hayward, PJ, a little bit too pricey at their respective prices. I know there's no Cody Zeller, and I know PJ Washington should play more at the 5, but it's like $7K. I'm not paying $7K. You remember what happened last time when PJ Washington was chalk? You remember what happened when he played the 5? What did he finish with? Like 15 fancy points? No, I'm not playing PJ Washington at that price. Rozier, priced about right. Graham and Bridges, same thing. Biyombo, if he starts, yes, he's in play for value. Probably more of a cash game play. I don't think he has a ton of upside, but assuming he starts, I would think we get at least 20 minutes from him. So, yeah, viable for a value play for sure. And finally, the Clippers. The Clippers are a team I love on this slate, especially if there's no Serge Ibaka. 4 guys here that really stand out. The top 2, Kawhi and Paul George, absolutely love both. They're basically running like an 8-man rotation right now if Ibaka does not play. 40 and 37 minutes the last couple games. I love Kawhi. The same thing I'll say about Giannis, though, is there is a little bit of blowout risk. Paul George, the same thing. I would say a little bit riskier. But really, really like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard on this one. And then Ivica Zubac, assuming that Ibaka is out, I think is one of the better plays because he's played 35 minutes in back-to-back games. Should be able to have his way against the Charlotte front court. So do like Ivica Zubac. And then Marcus Morris, too. 31, 36 minutes since entering the starting lineup. Again, the rotation has really tightened here for the Clippers. So those 4 guys I am very, very high on. Reggie Jackson at 4.9, lost minutes the last game, only played 19. Not out of play, but a little bit riskier. Lou Williams, the same thing, 4.8K. A little bit more reliant on the scoring, but if he has a good shooting game, he still had some upside games. And then Nick Batum, I think he's actually a safer value off the bench, should play mid-20s minutes. Not a super high usage guy, but again, below 4K and revenge game narrative. Kennard's been out of the rotation. Terrence Mann's been playing a little bit. But really, again, the rotation is super tight for the Clippers, with which, if this game stays competitive, I think they're my favorite team to target on this slate. So love some Clippers, especially if there's no Ibaka. Now, if Ibaka's in, then I'm probably going to stay away from both centers. So just keep an eye on that one for sure. The tricky part is it is a late game, so we might not get that news for little. All right, so that's it for my breakdown, guys. We got about 10 minutes until I'm going to get out of here. So let's get to some questions. Do we have any more news going on here? Alonzo Ball is actually questionable for tomorrow. Okay. Yeah, LaMelo's been in some foul trouble, but again, I kind of do like him as a contrarian spin up in the slate. White, Wiggins, Lee, Giannis, Draymond, Poole, Samaljic, and JoVal. I think that's a good lineup. Yeah, I kind of like LaMelo Kawhi. Again, I do kind of like LaMelo Ball on the slate. I think he goes overlooked. What percent of Giannis line should have DeMar DeRozan, assuming game stays close? Depends on, I mean, probably like 50%, because doesn't mean, if the game stays close, it doesn't mean DeMar's a lock to get to crush, because, you know, they got Derek White, Keldon Johnson actually just flash them upside. But I would say probably around 50-ish. Yeah, Samaljic, we don't really know, right? We haven't seen a ton of him in play in the NBA. I mean, he's in play because of the price, but it's not something you're going to feel amazing about. White, Lee, Morris, Draymond, Bismack, Milton, Giannis, and DeMar. I think that's a good lineup. Yeah, I mean, the reason you're getting to Paul George those minutes, right? And that's why the Clippers look good, is because they're basically running an 8-man rotation, but almost like a 7-man rotation. So let's just go over the minutes from the last time they played. And this was in a blowout, too, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure the starters got pulled at the very end. Here, let's go to the Clippers. Yeah, this game turned into a blowout at the very end, but Kawhi Leonard, 37 minutes, Marcus Morris, 36, Ibaka, 35, Paul George, 41 minutes. Now, Reggie Jackson started, played 19, Batum off the bench, 29, Lou Williams off the bench, 24, and then Mann played a little bit off the bench of 14. And that was it. So, close to a 7-man rotation for the Clippers. That looks pretty good. Who other than Wiggins will be chalk? I think Draymond's going to get some ownership. I think Poole will get some ownership. Definitely the Golden State guys. And then it's, the stars, right? Giannis, the Clippers guys, 76ers guys. Those would probably be the chalk spend-ups. Yeah, Damian Lee or Biyombo. I think Lee's got, if you're shooting for the upside, it's Damian Lee. I think Damian Lee's got a little bit more upside. If Biyombo starts, he might be a little bit safer, just because it's Steve Kerr, and you just can't trust any secondary plays in Golden State, really. Tobias, Simmons, or Kawhi? I mean, I like all three. I would say the 76ers game has a better chance of staying close, probably. It really depends on what the rest of your lineup looks like. Any Gordon Hayward is interest a little bit, but I would rather get to those other stars. Yeah, you don't have to play anyone on Philly. But, the two stars look good. I think Dwight in the mid-range, Shake Milton even in the mid-range. Those four look pretty solid, I think. Again, Giannis or Kawhi, it just depends, right? Do you think the Spurs can keep it close? If the answer is yes, then you're going to want Giannis in your lineup, right? If Milwaukee game stays competitive, Giannis is going to be most likely in the optimal lineup because he should crush. But, again, the risk there is just the blowout. Might pull a trigger on Lee. Yeah, it's not something I love. I have him in my lineup too, but it's just like, hoping he gets somewhat similar minutes. What game would you stack? I think the Golden State Memphis game looks pretty good to stack. So that game probably because the price points on some guys, right? Or you can go Clippers and Charlotte. I think that game's a little bit contrarian to stack. Halliburton, Poole, or Milton. I think Halliburton is actually the safest of the three. Because he's going to play for sure over 30 minutes, and he's a guy that could do more of the peripherals. Poole, Milton at times more at line in the scoring. So Halliburton for safety, Poole or Milton for upside. Don't have a super strong take there. With Looney out, it actually opens up more minutes for the wings too. That's a good point, right? They might run more small ball 5 for Draymond. Maybe Lee plays a little bit more. So that is a good point. Like, I don't know if Samaljic plays similar minutes to Looney. We'll see how he got to get, how he does against Jonas Valanciunas. Simmons, Keldon, or PG, Dwight for cash. Ooh. probably PG and Dwight. And the only reason I say that is because the up and down nature of Keldon Johnson's play. That's the only reason why I say that. Kawhi and Marcus Morris or Giannis and Smoljic. It's going to be Kawhi and Morris for me. Smoljic is in play, but it's you're not going to feel amazing about it. Ben Simmons out? Are you serious? So, now the slate is completely different, right? It just sucks, too. That's the early game. I got to update some stuff for Patreon, guys, so I can only stay on for a couple more minutes. It really just is annoying that we get this reporting. But, okay, so now it changes everything, right? So, no Ben Simmons. Tobias Harris is one of the best plays of the slate, without a doubt. I know he's priced up, but he's going to be the clear number one on offense. Now I really like Shake Milton, too, assuming he starts. Again, we got to keep an eye on the starting lineup. And then those secondary guys become a lot more viable, right? So like Danny Green, Korkmaz, Thibault, Maxey. I need to see what they do. Even Mike Scott, right? So there's a lot more that is in play here. But yeah, what you want to focus on is Tobias at the top, Shake Milton, assuming he starts at the point guard position, and then I think Dwight Howard is still pretty safe. And then it's those secondary plays, right? So Green, Korkmaz, Thibault, Maxey, all are much more viable now. Let's see what the minutes were. For the Clippers at last game, or for the 76ers at last game. All right. So again, great matchup and missing the top two players. Again, this really, really does change something. So off the bench, let's see. Dwight played 30, Thibault played 20, Milton played 20, Korkmaz played 20, Scott played 10. So Maxey wasn't in the rotation. Might have to be in the rotation now, but yeah, definitely Shake for sure. Shake, Tobias. Danny Green will play minutes, so he's in play, more reliant on the scoring. But he played 35 minutes the last game. So yeah, you're gonna want some Philly exposure now for sure, without Ben Simmons. It just unfortunate that we get this news now for me because again I got to stream for Patreon as well. So 2 more minutes, guys, and I do it to get out of here because I got to update stuff. Yeah, no, Maxey's not even been in the rotation. I think he's an okay tournament play. But, yeah, I would say he's risky for sure. Fox is no Ben Simmons. Yeah, De'Aaron Fox does get a boost with Ben Simmons off the court. Giannis fadeable. Yeah, if you think the game blows out. I think that game looks a lot more appealing now to stack, right? So no Ben Simmons and no Tobias Harris. I think that game is actually very appealing to stack, right? Philadelphia missing 2 of their top defenders. Should be easier for Sacramento to score. Sacramento runs a tight rotation. So De'Aaron Fox, Rashawn Holmes. Not a lock, but Shake looks really good. Shake looks really, really good now. Yeah, that's good with me. Yeah, the value, it's the clear plays are obviously Tobias, Shake, and then, probably Dwight. Those are the 3 safest. Even Danny Green because the minutes. Behind that, it gets a little riskier, right? Korkmaz is priced up, but he'll play more. Again, who else do we have here? Thibault, not a good point per minute guy, but he'll probably play over 20 minutes. Maxey's not been in the rotation. Maybe he cracks it here at 3-1. Again, riskier value play, though. Yeah, I think the Sacramento guys do get a pretty big boost without Ben Simmons, right? Holmes, Fox, yeah. All right, one more minute, guys. Again, I have to update some stuff here. Shake over Poole. Assuming Shake starts, yeah. JV, DeMar, or Paul George. Depends what you're playing. I think Paul George actually for cash games just because the minutes. Jonas Valanciunas is a guy I like for tournaments, but the minutes haven't been great on him. All right, guys, I'm going to call it. So good luck to everyone. Obviously, keep an eye on that news. But, again, the Philadelphia 76ers look a lot better now without Ben Simmons. So definitely try to get a couple guys, I would say, into your lineup from the 76ers. But, yeah, good luck, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and I'll see everyone back here tomorrow.